Hey everyone, Justin here. In our last lesson, we looked at sequences as patterns. Like with this sequence, we noticed that we added 3 each time. And in today's lesson, we're going to take those patterns and turn them into mathematical formulas. Let's get into it. We learned that a sequence is an ordered list of numbers, which means each number has a specific position. That means we can refer to the first term, the second term, the third term, and so on. We use the word index to describe the position a term holds in the sequence. When we think about it this way, we get pairs of numbers, where each index matches up with a term. Then, if we organize those pairs into a table, it'll represent a function, where the index is the input and the term is the output. But how do we know this is a function? Right, each input has only one output. In fact, all sequences are functions because we'll always have one first term, one second term, and so on. Going back to the table, we can extend it by continuing the pattern to find the 6th and 7th terms. But would it make sense to add something between the terms we already have, like 1.5 between 1 and 2? The first row of the table represents the order of each term. Does it make sense to have a 1.5 term? No. We count terms in the same way as we count objects, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So the inputs or domain values of a sequence are the natural numbers. And since sequences behave like functions, maybe we can describe a sequence with a rule or equation, just like we do with functions. But to do that, we're going to need some notation specifically for sequences. In sequences, we use the letter n to denote the index or position of the terms. Remember, since the domain of a sequence is the natural numbers, n starts at 1 and increases by 1 each time. 1, 2, 3, and so on. To represent the terms themselves, we use the letter a with a subscript n, which we say as a sub n. The n shows up again here because each term depends on its position. To talk about a specific term, we can replace n with a number. For example, a sub 1 is the first term of a sequence. In this sequence, a sub 1 is 2 because 2 is the first term in the sequence. A sub 2 is 5 because 5 is the second term. Using that pattern, what are a sub 3 and a sub 4? A sub 3 is 8 because it's the third term in the sequence, and a sub 4 is 11 because 11 is the fourth term. Now that we've got some notation, let's see if we can write an equation to represent this sequence. Let's go ahead and start with a sub 5, which has a value of 14. How is this term related to the previous term in the sequence, 11? It's 3 more than the previous term. Using our notation, we can write that as a sub 5, the 5th term, equals a sub 4, which is the term before it, plus 3. Let's go ahead and do the same thing for the 4th term. How is it related to the term before it? Again, it's 3 more than the previous term. What equation can we write to express that? We can write a sub 4 equals a sub 3 plus 3. We could keep going and write similar equations for the third and second terms as well. Notice that each equation ends with plus 3. What's that number called in an arithmetic sequence? It's the common difference. Now our goal is to use this pattern to write an equation for any term in the sequence, a sub n. In each equation we wrote, what did the first part on the right side represent? It's the term before the one we're finding. So using our notation, we represent the term before a sub n by writing a sub n minus 1. That means the term with an index of 1 less than n. So putting this all together, our equation will be a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus the common difference, 3. So what does this equation actually tell us without the table or sequence to reference? This tells us that to find the value of any term, we should take the term before it and add 3. But is that enough information for someone to know exactly what sequence we're talking about? Or are there other sequences that could also have this same relationship? All of these sequences follow this same pattern of taking the previous term and adding 3. So this equation describes more than just one sequence. What other information would we need to include for someone to know exactly what sequence we're talking about? What's something that would be important to know in order to build a sequence from the beginning? We need a starting point. The equation tells us how to move, but it doesn't tell us where to start. For our sequence, the first term is 2. So we'll write the formula for it in 2 parts, using a curly bracket to show they go together. We have a sub 1 equals 2 to identify where to start, and we have a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 3 to show us how to move. This is called a recursive formula because it defines the terms in a sequence using the previous terms. For arithmetic sequences, recursive formulas will always follow this same general structure. We first identify the first term by writing a sub 1 equals and then filling in the first term. Then we describe how the sequence moves from one term to the next. For an arithmetic sequence, that always involves adding the common difference, so we write a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus d, where d stands for the common difference. So, to write a recursive formula for any arithmetic sequence, all we have to do is use this structure and fill in the first term and replace d with the common difference. All right, let's see what this all looks like in practice with a few examples. Here's the first one. Write a recursive formula to represent each arithmetic sequence. We'll do part A together. Here's the structure of a recursive formula for an arithmetic sequence. What 2 things do we need to write the formula for this sequence? The first term and the common difference. What's the first term? It's 7. So we'll write a sub 1 equals 7. What's the common difference? Negative 10. Replacing d with negative 10 gives us a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus negative 10, which we can simplify to minus 10. And that's it. Go ahead and pause the video to try part B on your own. To write the recursive formula, we need the first term and the common difference. The first term is negative 1, so a sub 1 equals negative 1. What's the common difference? It's positive 5. That gives us a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 5. Nice job. If we're given a recursive formula, we can use it to find specific terms. For example, this recursive formula, a sub 1 equals 10, and a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 4, describes an arithmetic sequence. Use it to find a sub 4. To find a sub 4, we'll use that second part of our formula and replace n with 4. We could simplify that 4 minus 1 to get a sub 3. But that's not a single value yet. What do we need? We need the value of a sub 3. And that makes sense. In a recursive formula, each term depends on the term before it. We don't know a sub 3 yet, but which term in this sequence do we know? The first term. It's 10. So we'll have to use the first term to find the second term, and then keep working our way up until we get to the term we want. So we know that a sub 1 is 10. By replacing n with 2, we get a sub 2 equals a sub 2 minus 1 plus 4. A sub 2 minus 1 is just a sub 1, and we know that it's 10. Substituting gives us 10 plus 4, so a sub 2 equals 14. Let's keep going to a sub 3, which equals a sub 2 plus 4. A sub 2, as we just found out, is 14, so a sub 3 equals 18. Now we can come back to a sub 4, which is equal to a sub 3 plus 4, and now we know that a sub 3 is 18, so a sub 4 equals 18 plus 4, which is 22. So our final answer is a sub 4 equals 22. We could do a quick check of our work by writing out the sequence in order. We know the first term is 10, and we found the second term is 14. The third term is 18, and the fourth term is 22. Based on the recursive formula we were given, what should the common difference of this sequence be? It's positive 4. Does the sequence of terms we found have a common difference of 4? Yes, it does. And the fourth term in that sequence is 22, and that's a great sign that our work is correct. Now it's your turn. Pause the video to do this example on your own. We want to find a sub 3, but since we're given a recursive formula, we'll start with the term we know and work up from there. We know a sub 1 equals 19. Then a sub 2 equals a sub 1 minus 2.5. We know a sub 1 is 19, so that gives us a sub 2 equals 16.5. Now for the term we really want, a sub 3. It's equal to a sub 2 minus 2.5. That would be 16.5 minus 2.5, and subtracting will give us a final answer of a sub 3 equals 14. Nice work. Today, we learned that an arithmetic sequence can be described with a recursive formula. One part tells us where to start, and the other tells us how to move from term to term. And we saw how to use that formula to find specific terms in a sequence. Make sure to finish up your guided notes, then move on to the Write the Rule activity and the online practice. Good luck with that, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, hey.